Hi, I'm Mike,
And I'm Sam.
and this is
Wise Words for Dodo Birds. Hey there, Dodo Birds. Welcome to episode 8 of Wise Words for Dodo Birds. Today, Mike and I are just going to sit around and riff for a little while. We actually have nothing prepared for you. We're just going to talk. Although, before I came over here, I did, and I actually remember a couple of the details. I did watch a little video that was about why we probably can't nuke Mars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know, most of the, like, in a nutshell, there are ways to terraform it, but in a nutshell, the reason why that won't work is because, and I don't know how much you actually know about this, but is because it wouldn't, like, there's not enough water, not enough CO2 there for that to actually do what certain people...
What it needs to.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. There are ways to do it.
From what I understand about that statement is that, like, it was kind of from a candid interview.
Okay.
And I actually know where the context where that quote comes from. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was, like, an interview with Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan's like, so, bro, like, how would we even, like, make Mars work?
Right,
like,
right.
And Elon
They
Musk...
were podcasting
Yeah,
like
yeah,
we are
Elon
right
Musk
now.
was
Yeah.
just like...
And
I don't know. You could kind
Hey.
of you'd have to do some sort of terraforming. You would need something, a massive amount of energy applied to the surface. Like what? Like a nuke or something? Like, yeah, maybe a nuke or something.
yeah. Well, and you know, and I think I had heard that he like doubled down a little bit on that. Wore a Nuke Mars T-shirt.
It got really
Well,
popular. That clip.
Yeah, because
really
it's the Joe
viral.
Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
And it's Elon Musk. Those two things combined, yeah.
So I think he did double down on it. Like, but I don't know if he actually believes that.
Yeah,
would
and
be
I don't know
the option.
That's the thing. He doesn't actually have. That's a really educated guess for someone who actually doesn't have a degree in the advanced sciences.
Yeah,
you know. But that's the thing. People who do have looked into that. It's not like that's a thing that like people have been like, they laugh off as if it's completely impossible. It has been looked into very thoroughly.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't. It just wouldn't work.
What,
you could even impact. You'd have to like even if you impacted it with a dozen asteroids, Mars, it still would not quite be terraformed. You'd need to do dozens.
What do you think it was? Do you think like a chicken or the egg problem? Did that clip go viral and then people started looking into the
That's a good question.
or were people like studying that prior and then they were like, no, it doesn't work, we've already done the math? Like,
I believe either or could be the case.
right.
Like where so like they could have been something that people
because
looked into.
I think it's extra hilarious that if real scientists went out of their way to like disprove a thing that he just said, like
either they went out of their way to disprove it or they went out of their way to try to prove it.
Yeah.
You know, that's one way I look at it.
But like a clip maybe made very expensive real scientists look into something that could have been not really taken that seriously.
Right. But hey, that's an attribute to like, you know,
it's
the fact that Elon Musk, whether you like him or not, he's not an idiot. You know?
Yeah, and the double down with the
Nuke Mars T-shirt.
Mars T-shirts. That's a good troll, man.
Yeah,
like,
that's exactly what that was.
That's
too,
an effective.
You know? That's
troll.
why I didn't even want to say doubled down earlier. Like I was trying to find the right word. Trolled is probably the right one because like I don't know. It's so hard to actually like I've the bit that I have seen about Elon Musk is like, you know, the little bits here and there. He's not a very easy guy to read, and he's not an idiot.
Yeah, I think there's a mental condition. I don't know which one specifically it is.
I say we don't want to diagnose him here on Wise Words for Dodo Birds.
I mean, I'm sure that information is out there, or at least speculated on. But he does have, you know, something. So he is awkward to listen to. You can tell that he has a lot of trouble with social interactions and things like that. But I think it's hilarious that he can like double down on a meme. Like he can rant for 3 hours.
Well,
and then
I also
like a couple of crazy clips will make it out.
I also, and again, just, for our listener, I am neither a fan nor like an anti-Elon person. I'm very much like, I don't know that much about him.
Yeah.
The only reason I watch his video is because it's on a YouTube channel that I do watch,
Sure.
And the concept of colonizing Mars, I actually am not super into that either, but my curiosity about whether or not it's possible is definitely there, which is why I watched the video in the first place.
It's tricky because you both want to be behind an idea like that. Like, wow. Like going to the moon, I bet at one point was like,
exactly.
You fucking wacko.
You think we can actually go there?
To the moon.
Right.
Am I understanding that right?
Yeah.
What are you talking about there?
That's exactly the thing, though.
But it's also one of those things that, it's kind of ludicrous in the fact that actual capital is being put into that idea. And from what I understand about that man is that is one of his like sole missions.
That is one thing I've heard as well.
That's a little silly, maybe.
I mean, look, more power to him.
Yeah.
Okay, I for one,
why?
I feel bad because that is not a goal that one can reach in a lifetime. A modern lifetime, I don't think. So like he's probably going to die like unfulfilled unless he takes, some kind of joy in the progress that he makes towards that goal.
Maybe he sets up the team that does it.
And even if he gets there himself, it's not going to be
fun.
It's exactly fun. You know what I mean? And I guess he himself has even, maybe others as well, has said, if you go to Mars, you're going to die on Mars. Like,
yeah, most likely.
That is the, like...
He stated the statistical probability of that, too, and it was high.
Yeah, I mean, and that's even if everything goes perfectly, you know? Like, it's just you're not coming back. We have no way to get you back.
Yeah.
So, like, even if everything goes perfectly, you're going to live the rest of your life and die there.
So we spend a lot of money on a lot of forms of science that are theoretical until they're not, right? For instance, gravity was proven. A lot of people don't know this, but gravity was proven about 6 years ago officially.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. We just kind of accepted it as a theory, but there were still people out there like, it's just a theory.
Yeah. I mean, and it technically...
Until they were able to measure like subatomic particles and like watch gravity waves for the first time.
Yep.
And so like string theory, these theories of everything, like expanding universe or just like microbiology, we have all these like really wild theories. Like which one of them... It's interesting like how culture will actually put stock into some of these crazy ideas and some not. And I wanted to bring it back around to like, nuking Mars. Like why did like that get so much cultural stock, but there's some other things that are, arguably more interesting than
colonizing Mars at all, you mean?
Mars at all.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But there's real science being done for that purpose, as well as other crazy things. Why is that? Why do you think that's like a kind of a viral idea or like...
Well, I think people just like it, for starters. I think that's just an idea that, because humanity has to this day still not, we haven't even set up a proper base on the moon. You know what I mean? Like we never actually colonized anything but Earth.
Do you think it's something that feels like unobtainable but attainable enough?
Yeah. Again, unobtainable was like just like going to the moon, right?
Yeah.
It unobtainable to some people, sure. To others, not so much. I think the reason it's like, and I agree with like, I think it was actually Seth MacFarlane. Because he did Cosmos and he's good friends with Neil deGrasse Tyson and he's really into space, even though he's mostly a comedian, comedy writer and stuff. He said something. Someone was asking him a question about all of this kind of stuff, and he's like, like how much stock should we put in it? And I can't remember his exact answer as to how much, but he's like, but you always have to leave room for that. There has to be like
a non-zero chance.
Yeah. And just like when you talk about like dumping resources and actual money into these sciences and stuff like that, when it's like, is that worth it? Like, I don't know about the amounts, but you absolutely have to like,
give the idea stock.
Yeah.
Because what if it is? Yeah.
There's absolutely, and again, I'm actually someone who's like, I would never, maybe in a million years, want to live on Mars, but like in my lifetime or 100 lifetimes from now, probably not, dude. Like I do not. There's so many people out there like I don't even like the idea of going into space, and I know that can be very safe for humans.
It's like kind of interesting because it could be a really like future long shot, like real idea, because the looming idea that the Earth is not gonna last forever.
Sure.
And to like keep our species alive, maybe we have to do these drastic things. I can get on board with that idea.
See, that is not what I think. Well, I mean, maybe, but that's not why I think we should do it. I think we should do it just because that's like just something we should do. If we can, we should test to see if we can do it. I don't think it should be a contingency to Earth. Mars, as far as the long term,
but getting started
only has as much time as Earth.
Well, like Mars could be the step for us leaving our star. Maybe we find something better. Like I don't know, but like that's the first step in
colonizing the universe,
doing
the
something.
For sure,
having a presence in the galaxy.
Absolutely, for that reason, I'm 100%.
And that's like such a long shot. Like it is kind of admirable to like dream for that, but I think it's so far. We're so far away from that it just seems.
It seems impossible to us.
Fantastical.
I guarantee, barring no black holes, nuclear wars that wipe out humanity, barring nothing like that, or the sun expanding, these things, given enough time, I don't know how long, I'm not an expert in any of these things. Given enough time, humanity is going to do it. They're going to be on Mars. They're going to be on the moons of Jupiter. They're going to be going fucking places. It's not going to happen in our lifetime. It seems impossible to us now. But I'll tell you what, an iPhone seemed impossible to people 50 years ago.
Not even like
20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
Unfathomable.
I mean, maybe not. They were probably the smartest people were probably like, we can make this
not
happen.
the way we have them currently.
Yeah.
10 years ago, we wouldn't think we would be where we are.
Well, 10 years ago, we had smartphones.
No, but I'm just saying the capability of
Sure.
Like,
But like that's the thing. 10 years ago, I think the smartest people knew where they could go. They saw I think 50 years ago, it was
magic.
The idea of even having a cell phone, much less a smartphone, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was pure witchcraft.
Yeah, exactly. So when we talk about, colonizing Mars, I'm 100% like we can do it. I think that we should do it. And I just don't think our reason should be like because Earth is going to get used up. In fact, again, I can't go on for this too long because I just don't know all the details and I'm not a genius in this aspect. But it would be easier to fix the climate change problem here on Earth than it would be to terraform Mars.
I think the idea is a long-term contingency plan, I don't think that's like meant to be the savior, but I think it's one of those things.
A contingency plan for what though? Because that's the part that I'm not fully
for humanity, like a way to be. Because
what's going to happen to Earth that won't happen to Mars?
Nuclear
nukes. Okay, something
nukes,
like that. Okay,
a meteor. There are things
sure.
if there are even 17 humans on Mars and the Earth gets destroyed.
Yeah, in that aspect, yes. Okay, I guess because I have heard people say as a contingency because we're ruining our own planet, and that's true. It's not like I don't believe in climate change. I definitely do.
I don't think climate change will be the contender in that fight.
I was going to say people have used that argument, like, we should just find a new planet. It's like no. That's not why we need to go to Mars.
We have 5,000 years to fix this one. Let's start on it.
Yeah. I'll say the air is already breathable here. Let's just keep it that way. You know, like we don't have to fix that particular aspect yet.
Yeah, so I think that's probably what it is. I'm just kind of dissecting it as we're talking about it. I think it is like a last case.
I was going to say, I wasn't thinking about it from that other angle, though, of like if a fucking meteor hits here or we all kill ourselves like in Fallout, or, just like the world just becomes this nasty, gritty place that just,
And I bet the idea for somebody who subscribes to that belief system is that we'll go even further than Mars eventually, too.
Yeah, that was what I was pretty much saying. Was like, and I think we should.
It's a stepping stone.
It's like, again, personally, the idea of trying to go into space scares the shit out of me. I'd never want to do it. But do I think we should be doing it? Absolutely.
There's some interesting studies happening in that field. I'm going to... take a sec and look
while
that
you
up.
do that, I was just talking about like that's one of the things that drew me so much into the Halo series was that it was like actual humanity science fiction. It wasn't like Star Wars, you know what I mean? It's like 500 years in the future and they've already colonized other worlds. Like I love that shit. That shit's really cool to me. I actually would like to write something sometime in a similar vein, something science fiction-y, that like where humanity has, you can even divert our own timeline a little bit and write your own sort of our own, my own, whatever, science fiction sort of.
A whole universe, yeah.
Yeah, it would be cool. It's just like a lot of world building to do something like that, but people do it, man. And not quite like Star Wars. I like the idea of things where it's humanity, like our timeline.
Did you ever read Dune?
Dune?
Yeah.
No, I've seen like advertisements for a movie called Dune.
Thing? They released a movie.
Was it crap compared to the book?
No.
Okay.
No.
I just, a lot of times it is.
If you expect a Star Wars like adventure, it's not that. The amount of world building in that story is heavy.
Yeah.
Heavy.
See, I like that. I do like that shit. And I love Star Wars, don't get me wrong, but like
it's more Tolkien-esque.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Like everything's got very specific culture and this and that and yeah.
Everyone tells me I'd love Star Trek for the same reason because apparently
Sure.
It's a lot like that. I've never seen it.
But what I was going to say is there's a study out that I like a lot right now. It's a book by Robin Hanson, and it's called Grabby Aliens. He designed it as kind of a silly title to be catching.
And that's Grabby Aliens?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's actually a pretty in-depth study about the way we're looking for these habitable planets, these places that might be already inhabited, or just our search for aliens pretty limited.
Sure.
One of the most common is radio frequency, is pretty much the bulk of how we look for them currently. We have radio signals, transmitting from all of our satellites.
They go pretty far.
Yeah. How often do we use radio signals today?
On Earth?
Yeah, right now.
That's a good question.
Not a lot.
Probably more than you and I think, but yeah.
But it's declining.
Majorly declining, yeah. That shit's getting put in museums,
So it's kind of silly that would be our primary way. And we have other ways to... We've been increasing our steps in showing them things that we've made. Like bringing it back to Elon Musk for a second, he put the Tesla in space.
The car?
Yeah, put. Oh, did you know that?
I think I heard about it.
He launched a Tesla into space to show human craftsmanship.
Okay.
And so that's the essence of this thesis, is that we are looking, our search criteria has been skewed in the wrong direction, that we need to be looking for signs of manufacturing. We need to be looking for signs of structure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead of
some kind of communication, some kind of...
Yeah, or like instead of just looking at it
audio.
like what we have,
Right.
We have to open our expanses to what other species, how they would craft things. We can't just look at it from a human perspective.
Yeah, no, and I think that's great. That's some out of the box thinking, which is necessary with.
There were some perspectives like, it's been a while since I looked at the book, like probably a year or two now, but it's always stuck with me. But one of the things was just looking for like geometry, looking for, polyhedral, any sort of structure, like, because that would right off the bat show some sort of construction or design or, non-natural phenomena, as well as different types of gases, because we emit a bunch of CO2. Expanding our measuring system to maybe theorize that they might be releasing different gases that we are overlooking.
Things that we just wouldn't expect to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
So there has been quite a bit of funding on that end.
Maybe 6 years ago now. Something that kind of opened my mind in that way, something I'm sure other people had, I don't want to be like, nobody knew this,
Yeah.
when they released a picture, it was just a picture of a rock on Mars that kind of looked like the Sphinx in Egypt. Do you remember that?
I do, yes.
It turned out to be nothing, right? It was just a rock. But whenever I saw that, there was like a few minutes in my head where I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, because all the mysteries surrounding the Sphinx here, I was just like, what the fuck? Looking at that rock, like, no way. Is that what's going on here? And then even after they said, oh, it's probably not. It's like that thought of like things like that, where it's like anything similar to Earth that maybe we haven't seen, or like something like that, like something we haven't really been able to explain here somewhere else. Yeah.
I love some of the advancements that are being done in that field. I'm trying to find another name. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it.
Talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, Avi Loeb. Oh, Jesus. It took me so long to find that in my brain. Avi Loeb has like a theory of everything, and compiled with some of these other advancements on looking at different signatures or signs of other types of intelligence, he's come up with quite a few mathematical models to start working in that direction. I don't think that a lot of theoretical physicists don't tend to work together. But I think we're starting to see blending of theses together, which is got to be the collaboration of wild ideas has to be the type of thing that gets us to the moon,
Yeah. Like that's like when you said that originally, like I don't think they really work together much. Like why?
Right.
Why in the fuck wouldn't you?
Private funding, this and
right,
that.
Yeah. I'm sure there's reasons. I'm sure there's perfectly explainable reasons for it. But.
Yeah. It's exciting to see some project leads, getting together, but like,
that's why the Nazis lost the war. They were all competing for Hitler's attention rather than working together. Move on. Sorry.
You're right. I mean, you're totally right, and that's been kind of the downfall of a lot of military advancement.
And it's a good thing, but like in this particular aspect,
decompartmentalization of facets of the government in the research sector, I don't think is ever good.
Right.
Because, okay, I think it's like the F-36 or something. We've been designing this plane that we have them, a couple of them now, but $100 billion, venture turned
Expensive.
into like bazillion, quadrillion dollars pretty quickly. And it took us so long to even get a prototype going for some of these planes. And a lot of that has been attributed to project heads not being able to communicate. So the engineer, the person that fabricates it and the designer and somebody who designs the coolant system, this and that. They're doing it separately and then like pushing it to a project head who compiles the puzzles.
And they're not communicating with people. Yeah.
And so that's a problem in our military research or in anything government funded and private funded sometimes too, because if Boeing hires you for research, you're not working with anybody else. Right. You're working with Boeing, and they're probably not having you work with most of their department.
Right. Yeah. And see, that just, fucking stating the obvious hinders progress.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's again, and if the wrong people do it, it's fine. Whenever like we're talking about like advancement in, especially it's a waste of money a lot of times,
It is. So that's like a big problem right now with the Department of, I'm trying to think of the acronym. They've changed acronyms so many times, but the department in charge of UFO research, they're currently going by AARO. It's like Advanced Aeronautics, it's something.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I can't think of the acronym. But they were called ASAP or OSAP for a while, and they were also called something else for a bit. They change every 6 or 7 years. But
the tech changes, and they come up with new names.
Yeah, I listened to a podcast with David Grush, who was the speaker for the congressional hearing about UFO and the government's meddlings, and he was a lieutenant, so he was a high-ranking military position and worked with the CIA, I believe, but he has credibility. And he said that that's basically that we already have crazy technology that we've found places. The specifics of that have not been detailed fully because there's only some things he can say as a whistleblower without putting, his safety, or ruining his life.
Right.
Like, but he says that's a lot of the problem is that we're actually way farther than, or we could be a lot farther than we are currently if there were more teamwork between like government departments.
Oh, and
like
not
the
just
engineering, like, and the reason, bringing it back to like the Nazis, like the reason that is because of the first nuclear research that was ever done. They had to decompartmentalize all these programs because they didn't want to give somebody the whole puzzle.
Yeah.
And so the claim is that we have several non-terrestrial crafts, I think is the verbiage.
Yeah, I heard that.
And that we've been trying to take them apart for some time, and we haven't gotten basically anywhere on it. And we've spent an unknown amount of money. A lot for sure.
Well, and so if that is the case, I'm all for it though. Like, try to figure out what makes those things tick, But also, if that's not the case, where's the money going?
Yeah.
And if it is if that money is going, like, who's doing the homework? Is it the right people, or are you just like milking that teat?
So do you think that's another lofty cultural goal for, we've talked about going to Mars, we've talked about establishing a base on the moon, and some of these lofty cultural goals. Do you think we should as a culture be behind, for one, seeing if the claim is true that we do have alien craft, and then two, trying as a culture, getting the best minds on it?
Yeah. I mean, if we...
Because that seems like a safety thing as well.
Exactly.
An existential, long-term...
Because there could be people who could definitely figure it out quicker, easier, better, whatever, who just don't know about it.
Yeah. Not allowed to have access.
Yeah. Now, the problem is we've also seen the way that the masses react to things.
Yeah.
So...
What do you mean?
Just to,
nonchalant or like overreact?
Well, I don't know. In this day and age with smartphones and people having everything so readily available,
yeah,
I think they do kind of just they overreact and then it's nonchalant. You know what I mean?
You're right. You're totally right.
But with this kind of thing, I mean, I don't know. Would we get a lot of the end is nigh shit? It's like, well, we've had these things for 50 years and nothing's happened. That's another thing. So, like, I do think especially if they've had them for a long time, I think if they just get them, I think they need to take more time to figure out what they're...
Because if the claims are true and we have noticeable proof from non-human intelligence and that has gotten here, this would probably be good for humanity with with many of our other lofty goals. We're spending,
especially when it comes to certain lofty goals, if it all works out
for the sake of humanity, those types of long shot goals, we're spending a lot of money in several different places to figure it out, and we might have the answer in Nevada right now.
In Nevada?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems a little, like, silly that somebody gets to gatekeep that.
I mean, it's one of those things that, like, the potential danger.
Yeah.
We sit here and talk about it like, we deserve to know. It depends. I say especially if they've had, and that's why they have rules like that. Like if they've had something for 50, 70 years, whatever, and they haven't gotten very far with it, and they have definitely figured out it's not dangerous, like start letting people in on it, try to learn more about it. If they picked it up 2 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever, they picked up something extraterrestrial that recently, I'm not sure, because if you let everyone know about it, I mean, yeah, maybe it's locked down somewhere safe, but, you don't even know what it is yet. You know, it's just best to. Sometimes information is best kept in small circles until there's more of it.
Sure.
But on that note,
I understand like not wanting to have China be the first one to figure out zero, like anti-gravity propulsion or something, lofty and crazy like that.
And that's just one. That's just one example of like. Keeping it. See, and that's another thing. If humanity was one fucking united front,
that's what I'm saying.
This would be This would be a whole different conversation.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's what I'm getting at is that if we could take China's best minds, Russia's best minds, and work on a problem like that for long-term human existence to be at least around, not thrive, but just be here, that would be pretty cool, man. Like.
Yeah, I mean,
I
think, man,
that's next level shit. How do you not want that for?
Oh, I'd love that.
Your race, Like,
yeah. I mean,
why can't?
Have you seen Independence Day?
Yeah.
Did you see the second one that came out in 2016?
No.
They had a sequel. It wasn't great. Okay. It wasn't bad.
Cool.
But I do think because they say there was this whole because aliens come back 20 years later, right? But humanity really, truly is united. Every nation in the world, it's like we went through something traumatic and we are all friends now. And you know what? I think even still, that's pie in the sky.
Yeah.
I do not think...
You think if aliens came down and we had like potential genocide of human and we would still bicker?
I do.
I do too.
I have a conversation... Because see, I have a conversation about this with my buddy from time to time. He's definitely on the side of the movie. He's like, oh yeah, humanity's going to unite, they'll be friends. And it's just like, absolutely not. We are going to fight with ourselves until the genocide is complete.
Yeah.
I'm 100%, now that's not to say there won't be parts of humanity that unite, but they will not all unite. We will not all unite. Even if
humanity as, let's say 85% of us, all humans left on the earth after a catastrophe, even if 85% of us were all on board, all it takes is like a few powers or like pockets of power to say no.
That's all it takes. Yeah.
Yeah. Because when countries beef, I'm not beefing with the country. Somebody higher up is. And, for good reasons
both,
sometimes.
You could make that argument about both China and Russia. Like,
sure.
There's nothing, like, if you look at the Russian people as a whole, especially the ones that are, like, only 20 years old, they're just fucking, they're people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're the same stupid fucking people that we are. But then you get up into the, especially you get older, people who live through harder times in those countries. They're harder people. They're maybe a little less willing to compromise types. But at the end of the day, it's when you start getting up into those governments. Yeah. Those are the people that are like...
Yeah, the people with
those
power.
Are the ones we're beefing with. Yeah.
Sure.
Like, that's why that, Ukraine, they haven't gone into Russia. And, no one's actually fighting China. I guess India is.
We have a lot of hurdles as a species to... Well, first of all, racism still exists.
Yep.
That's pretty fucking silly at this point. We kind of know... How do we not know? Like,
right.
It's like, who cares what your fucking skin looks like?
Right.
What?
Yeah, no, that one's hilarious to me to this day.
Like, if we made camps about shoe color, that would seem silly, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're doing that. We've been doing it. But anyway, we have many hurdles to jump over before we...
And it's often something petty. It's like, I want more than you.
Yeah. We deserve it.
This particular group of people is better than that particular group of people and deserve more.
Yeah.
But, and so how would this all, again, let's say humanity survives aliens, right? I think, which is what happened in Independence Day. And they had that united thing. But I think immediately afterwards, they'd start scavenging the technology and fighting each other. Because it really presented this we're all ready, we're getting ready for them to come back again. United human race, And it's just I think the aliens would come back to picked over bones. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or us still fighting.
That's the thing, if there's any, because the technology they left behind, we'd totally wipe ourselves out.
Yeah, I don't understand.
I mean, I don't know. I guess we haven't done that with nukes yet. So maybe I'm not giving humanity enough of the benefit of the doubt.
Oh, we got plenty
But after a traumatic event like that, who knows?
Bro, we got plenty of room to get crazier.
Much crazier.
Yeah.
That's why I put my foot in my mouth there, because it's just I'm saying we would destroy ourselves. But see, again, the whole world also went through something pretty traumatic. So there might be a few more itchy trigger fingers than there have been since the end of World War II when nukes were first discovered.
Yeah.
That's a theory. But I will say that right now we haven't done it yet, and there's something to be said for that.
Do you think the exposure of non-human intelligence would be a uniting factor?
It could be. I think it could be. Would it be?
Because, I almost just... let's say we just show you one instead of one coming and decimating, because that's easy.
That's easy.
And also it would increase people would be on the aggro. I think we're less likely to pull together in a time of war,
right?
Of
when
any
we've
sort.
So now you're wondering, how would it go?
So if we just showed people hey, we got some.
Okay.
They're for sure real.
They're out there.
These things might hurt us someday.
I think
we got to come together now. Is that
still pie in the sky?
Is that not pressing enough for people, you think, nowadays?
Probably not.
Right? I agree with you.
Yeah, I think that you would get some serious people. And you never know. Some world leaders may, but as far as humanity as a whole, let me put it like this: I don't think the Russia-Ukraine war would stop. I don't think the Israel-Gaza Strip war would stop.
Yeah,
you
think unless we really put our feet to the fire. Excuse me. Put our feet to the fire and get stripped down to pure humanity. That's the only way
I think an ongoing war with an alien factor may do it after long enough has gone by and the end is truly nigh.
Yeah.
Humanity may unite when it's too late. I don't know. That might be reading into it too much, but I think that even if they showed up, well, I keep going into like, what if they were like that we would not immediately be like, let's all unite, or even if they told now. However, the theory of what if aliens showed up and they weren't necessarily hostile, but they also didn't like us because of the way we are. There's some theories there,
or we could even say that, like, hey, we're the nice guys, but there's bad guys out there that are going to come for you guys. So you get your shit together. You don't have long.
That might work.
Yeah.
Especially if they came with some kind of, like, next level tech and they were like, this is, and we're struggling. You know what I mean? If they pointed at all their tech and they're like, we got problems.
Yeah.
If they said that, I think that might get some world leaders to change, or even like,
yeah, it would have to be either aggressive or after school special, where it's like, my planet didn't unite, and now we're the only remnants left. That we're the only people left on our planet, and we're coming here to tell you that you have to unite.
You actually just touched on that second Independence Day movie.
Okay,
those aliens that attacked in the first one are like some sort of like, they harvest planets. That's what it turned out they do. The molten cores of planets to run their ships, which are their environments.
Yeah.
And in that movie, when another alien race thing shows up, it even has a voice like the one you just used, like this high pitched sort of monotone voice. Yeah. And it says like, all these other races, But see, that's the thing. They were already united, humanity was.
Yeah.
So it was like unite with us kind of attitude against them kind of thing. But like...
it could be the same pitch.
I think it would take something like that to get humanity to unite at all. And then I'm not even saying for sure it would work.
Yeah.
Because like, even with... just think about like how already we have a common enemy like climate change and things like that, and people don't. Yeah, just
it comes for all of us.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. Even like it even turns out that like the rising population isn't a problem.
Right.
It's a problem for climate change, but for economies, it's actually like, and like that's, I guess, not to go on to like way off on a rant, but like the whole reason the Russia-Ukraine thing is going on is because Russia needs more people, and they wanted to annex Ukraine's people. Yeah. Along with some of the territory, because that boosts economy stuff. You know what I mean? It's always like, we need more, and people aren't working together.
The more people out there, and if you have tops of the pyramid that funnel all the way down, you need funneling all the way down. So like, for a government to have more citizens, even if they don't have shit and live very unfulfilling lives, that's still government capital. Yeah. That's an asset.
It is. Yeah. Oh yeah. And so, I keep coming back to like, we can't even like unite to help each other. And like, there's still, let me put it like this. There are still, look at America, so, the Trump people, the right wingers, they hate somebody over pronouns and trans stuff, right? The left wingers, they hate somebody just because they voted for Trump. Yeah. You know what I mean? We can't even.
It's so silly. Why? Okay, so
I know we're already like we've gone in like a big circle about all this, but like.
I'll ask one last question and then we'll try to get out of here. Okay. Do you think tribalism is ingrained in us? Is it genetic or is it cultural? Have we not shaken the cultural influence of that? Or is it good if we zoom out? 500 years from now, is that part of our culture or is it ingrained in us? Will we never shake it is the question.
I do think it's ingrained in us, even in myself.
It's in our DNA to fight.
Well, and I don't know about to necessarily fight, but to be tribal, which could mean fighting a lot. But like, and so many people, used to be religious, for example, and now less people are religious, and a lot more people grab onto like a political party as their tribe. And that's their set of beliefs, and that anyone who disagrees is another tribe. I was even that way for a little while.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I always like to say I'm not tribal. Like, I'm backing off of this politics thing. Like, I know, where my votes are going and stuff, but that doesn't necessarily mean I hate you if you're on the other side.
Sure.
I'm not going to get mad. I'm very cool. However, the part of me that has remained tribal, even though it's not a political thing anymore, it's like my family, and my friends. I'll be cool with a stranger, a stranger that I don't know, right up until, they start a problem with my friends or my family.
Yeah.
Even if it's a minor problem.
And then like the ape brain kicks
Exactly.
in. Yeah.
That tribal, like, no, this one's one of mine.
Yeah.
Like
your reaction or your interaction with them makes me feel bad. So now it's my interaction.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it gets a rise out of me really quick.
So it's curious to think, like, is that part of our DNA? Is that the monkey brain remaining?
I think so. I think we all have it in one way, and if someone, especially if they don't have a good family, don't have a lot of friends, they tend to reach out to a political party, and that becomes their family and their friends. And now, if you don't agree, and that's the thing, that's the part that I think is where it's gone ballistic. And I don't know if it's social media or the internet, I don't know what has made it. It's like to the point where now, if you don't agree with my tribe, you are the enemy.
Yeah,
rather than if you're fighting with my tribe, because I get it.
If you don't think this, you must think this.
Right. And like, if you're even in verbal fighting is actually, I think, a good thing, or maybe not fighting, but definitely arguing. Right. Like,
expressing.
But but if someone's like actually a threat, like if you're a threat to my tribe, lives and well-being, then that sort of ape brain shit makes sense to me.
Sure.
But like, just because you're fucking triggered because you see somebody sitting on your campus with, a booth that disagrees with you, or if you see, like that's the liberal side of it, right? Where they freak out because a conservative person's sitting there on their campus. And then I've also seen it where like liberal people protest Trump and like they want to like drag him out of the street and shit. And it's like, and they drag them across the street. Like, I get it if people are in the fucking road, I guess, but I don't know. It's like, call the cops. I don't know what you're disrupting traffic, I guess, There's proper ways to handle things. And then there's like freaking the fuck out, getting violent when it's like, it's just an opposing idea.
Yeah.
It's not like.
And the fact that that's still present in modern society is.
Yeah, it's more present than ever. Like,
I wonder. If we're aware of that instinct, like we have other primal things that call to us. We want sugar, sex, this and that. We tell these primal instincts to shut up for a bit, most of the time. Maybe it's just one of those things that we have to become more conscious of, more aware of, and then we can kind of like, shh, monkey brain, calm down right now, where it will be fine. And maybe we can evolve out of it culturally and biologically.
Yeah, and I think it's just that people need to understand that also, if you're going to be tribal, you need to understand that especially when it comes to, and that's, I don't know, like on a political level.
Yeah.
Because that's what really seems to be the biggest part of it, the negative part of it.
It's an easy one to find examples, yeah.
But like, I wish it was more like, we're all on the same team. We just have and I feel like I hear people saying this all the time. We just have different ideas on,
Like, if you really boil down these arguments with people, I think they would be pretty fugazi pretty quickly, Like maybe getting people to realize that sometimes that this is like a trigger, or their triggers are primal. It's in our DNA, and it's up to us to recognize these tics in our brain and deal with them in a healthy way.
Well, and don't immediately react to them.
Yeah.
That happens. I'm no saint, but that does happen to me where like I feel a way about something and I'm just going to stop and like think about it for a minute.
There was a point in our species where if we wanted sex, we probably went and had some one way or another.
One way or another, yeah. That's
so
how
we
animals do it.
Right. So I think we can evolve out of this monkey brain.
That's a great way to fucking put it. Like, we're not fucking animals, you know? That's the best.
We have the choice to not be.
Yeah.
We are
have
animals.
The mentality.
We are animals biologically.
Right.
But we have the rare ability to choose not to be.
Yeah. To like think for ourselves and to, and that's a great example. Like the fact that human beings like give consent like that. That is not something anything else on this fucking planet does.
It had to be taught.
Yeah. And that is a great example of like, that's what, so your immediate reaction, like when you see something that makes you angry, if you freak the fuck out and if you like, I have to get these people.
Yeah.
Like that is just giving into your animalistic instincts.
Yeah. Understanding that like your feelings of aggression, they're not yours. It's
the animal.
It's a deep-seated,
it's your
icky
inner
part
psycho.
of your brain. Yeah. So yeah, that's my wise words for the day is sometimes when you have these emotional triggers, try to break it down with yourself. Is this really important? Do I deserve to feel emotionally strong about this?
And I mean, you have one of three options whenever you feel that way. You can get your shit together and try to have an intelligent argument with the person you disagree with.
Yeah.
Or you can do one of these other two things, which one works, one just makes you look like a fucking idiot. And so one is just walk away. If something's bothering you that much, just walk away. It's a big world.
Be the bigger man.
Yeah. Bigger man, woman, person, whatever.
Yeah, like be the bigger person.
Just walk the fuck away.
Show them kindness by not...
Show yourself kindness.
Yeah.
And make... And
them. It's like, I respect your opinion. I don't want to go there with you.
And then there's option number 3. You can scream at the top of your lungs and look like a fucking idiot and just call names, curse at them, whatever. Yeah. But that just... And in this day and age... I mean, there's nothing but videos out there of people on one side making the other side look stupid because they got emotional.
Yeah.
That's like a fucking meme now, So don't do that.
Violence causes violence.
Stop and just stand and listen. Maybe there's arguments going on already and you're angry, but just sit and listen. Keep your mouth shut, Get some information. Find out the way that the opposing side makes these arguments. Maybe if you're not a good arguer on your own, you can listen. If you listen to more arguments.
Or ask a question.
Yeah, just ask questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if you know you're not going to like what they say, see if that's exactly what they say.
Yeah.
You might be surprised.
It's true. Yeah, you might not know what their answer is going to be. You think you have it figured out. They might surprise you.
Yeah, especially if you're young, by the way.
I mean, I try to practice that in myself. To this day,
I consider you and I to be young.
True. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, and
how nice of you.
Yeah. Well, in the sense of like,
in the grand scheme,
we don't have it all figured out.
Sure.
And nobody does. But like, I also believe in, I'm not someone who's like, you should respect your elders no matter what. But that saying comes out of like they've been around a lot longer than us. So like, if someone's considerably older than you, now again. I'm not saying if they're spouting off just hateful shit, you don't owe this person any of your time. But if they're just saying something you don't agree with, maybe you can listen. And if you don't want to, you don't have to. That's the great thing about at least 180
and
some of the countries on this planet.
If we can all respect that we're all different. We all have different experiences. It's fine. Just don't react so strongly, People are going through different shit.
Yeah.
Just like you are.
Well, and a lot of times whenever you're reacting that way, the angry way, that's just what they want anyways. And I know people hear that all the time. At least I feel like at this point in my life, I've heard it a million times. But, maybe our listener hasn't.
And just a reminder to put that in check for yourself because we're all guilty of it, But if we can put that thought at the forefront of our mind and just be present And
well, put that energy towards like the kind of shit we were talking about in the beginning of this episode.
Yeah.
Like, maybe if you're not, if science isn't your thing, but like fucking art, clay mold, whatever it is, like instead of like
do something for
instead
good.
of only being passionate about whatever this political thing is, which is often the case. That's mostly what I'm talking about. Or, if it's just one thing.
It's culture all over the place.
Yeah.
Like,
just get passionate about art or something, a video game even. Video games have a degree of unhealthiness, but like it's way healthier to be obsessed with a game than it is to be obsessed with, all these fucking just tribal shit.
Yeah. Yeah, you're much better hunting down something in Minecraft than you are Antifa in Cleveland.
Yeah, or fucking raiding the Capitol. Either way, you know what I mean? Like whichever one you... Yeah, it's doing you no favors.
Yeah, we've got to recognize our tribalism. We're better than our ape brains.
We are better than our ape brains. That one's for goddamn sure.
So that's where we're gonna leave you off.
Thank you for listening, Dodo Birds.
Yeah, thank you again. And
today was just a rant.
Yeah, you're better than your ape brains.
That might be the name of this episode.
I like it. Thank you, guys. Catch you next time.
Closer